idea, McCarthy.
I know why I got these Cheetos.
What?
I'm hungry for a snack.
Do you want to go wash your hands?
No. I'm Matthew.
I'm Autumn.
We host this podcast for the table, and today we brought several papers to the table. What are these papers about, you might ask? These papers are about John Carpenter's The Thing.
Yes, indeed they are.
The basic synopsis, if we have to talk about synopses, I don't want to give everything in this movie away because there's a lot of fun twists and turns, and all of the actors kill it, from leading man to
leading dog.
First, everybody is a great actor in this film, from leading actor to the first guy that gets dead, including, yes, the pup. So the basic synopsis of this is Antarctica researchers encounter a shape-shifting, assimilating extraterrestrial.
Yeah.
That's pretty succinct.
Yeah, comes from outer space. We don't know what it is, where it came from, what its purpose is, but we know that it shapeshifts.
Yeah.
Into
somehow
whatever it can infect.
Because it's a remake of a B movie.
Sure.
A sci-fi B movie called The Thing from Another World, which was released in 1951. The title sequence, right? The letters were homaging the original lettering that I think was used in the original, so that it's tied to it by that meta, word. John Carpenter was not Universal Pictures' first pick, obviously. Everybody knows this. They wanted Tabe Hooper, the Texas Chainsaw guy. Everybody knows this. But, unbeknownst to you, viewer, you didn't know he had 2 scripts in his back pocket for this. He didn't. He had to write them, probably in a weekend. I don't know. I wasn't there. But he wrote them.
This is who now?
Tabe Hooper, the Texas Chainsaw guy. Keep up.
Gotcha. Okay.
So, he brought those back to the studio, and the studio said, nope. To both of them.
Just like that. They went,
just like that. The whole bender, gone. And then
ruined. A wasted weekend.
And then the studio chose John Carpenter afterwards because he submitted a version later, and they were like, "Yeah, you know what you're doing. We'll do this one." The cast has many wonderful things to say about him. Obviously, everybody who works with him, from Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween fame, that was one of his first earlier movies.
Yeah.
And just quite a star-studded cast early on, working with someone who was going to catapult into who she became.
Yeah.
She has nothing but great things to say about him. She sat in and did commentary with him on the DVD Blu-ray release that I have right now, the 25th, I think, edition. Many of the actors have good things to say about him. David Clennon, whoever David Clennon played, has a very funny story where they were doing a scene and they had an idea. And they pitched it to the director, right? Because some directors are open to the idea of doing an alternate and working with it if it fits, or if it's a better, Obsession is full of this. If you go to the behind the scenes about that movie, they talk about how you get the one you need, and then they give you room to play, and sometimes that's better than the one you got. So there you go. Yeah. They pitched it. He was like, "No, that's not going to work for this bit." But thanks anyway. And he said about the note later, because they left and shit talked him in another room, right, over like a smoke break or something, and the mics were still hot, so John could hear them. so he comes into the room later, and Clennon says that John was great about that happening, and said that he heard what you said, guys, and his reasons for not wanting to do the scene still stood. You're right, though. I am still a prick.
And that's what John said.
That's John Carpenter. It's a direct quote. At least from the ears of David Clennon, who was part of that whole debacle.
Gotcha.
Fucking legendary director.
So, if we're going to start, right from the beginning of the movie, a couple things I noticed. The first thing you see in this movie... Whoa.
First thing we see in this movie is...
The first thing you see in this movie is a spaceship rocketing towards Earth.
Yeah.
And then a helicopter chase with a dog, with a wolf dog, a husky, in...
Whoa.
The middle of the Antarctic.
Holy fuck.
So there are a couple things that I took note of when I first saw this. One, that you don't really understand what's happening in this exact moment until, like, maybe you're halfway through the movie,
or if you speak Norwegian,
or you rewatch it. So when I first saw this, I was like, why are we watching these random sequences?
Why are these men shouting? What are they saying?
I'm more so talking about the spaceship. I was like, why are we watching
a spaceship?
What has to do with a spaceship?
It is a very bizarre thing, but it is that cool thing. It's kind of, it's not a direct homage, but it's that there's a film study, or I think it was Russian film, where that was the pioneering technique, was to like show things indirect, like next to something else happening, like it was, yeah,
okay,
and not explaining it, like spaceship in space, Earth, much later, but they don't tell you.
Right. Well, what I like about it is that it is like very succinct and quick,
very
exposition building. You don't need to have like a giant monologue explaining what happened before this, because none of our characters actually know. So we just get to quick see it as it's happening in a unspecified amount of time. We don't know how long between when that spaceship landed and when we are now seeing the scene that is next, which is the helicopter chase.
Right, which you said establishes a lot of the, like, you could talk about some of the sets and scale now.
Right, yeah.
So
moving into a different part of it, is that the scale for this movie is ginormous. Because, and they do a really good...
so you think.
Right, they do a really good job at making it look like it's much bigger. Because it is set in Antarctica. So they have...
Yes, to make it remote, to make it isolated and scary.
That is also a common place for scientists to study, at least it used to be. I don't know if it still is.
Yes.
But there's just this big long chase. It's like 5 minutes of the intro of the movie.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Following this dog running, and it's a lot of space. I'm sure they reused the same, sets of land a couple of times, right?
To make sure that
But it's very, like, it's a great way of showing how isolated our characters are, and we later come to find out that the closest camp to them has been completely desolated,
and it's miles away.
Right.
They say it's miles away,
and that's where the helicopter had come from. So they're chasing it from one camp to the next, and then those characters don't make it, the ones in the helicopter, and no one at the Norwegian camp made it either. So it
save for the helicopter chasing the dog.
Right. It sets up very quickly how isolated our characters are.
Yeah.
And it does it without having to beat you over the head with it.
Yeah, no, it's not, you don't have to exposition dump.
But so I like that a lot. And I like that, they were able to do so much with so little.
Yeah. Perfect.
Yep. The other thing I wanted to talk about with, like, the way they utilize their space. So there's a scene maybe about a third of the way through the movie, would you say? Where they go to the crater. There's where the spaceship had landed, there's a giant crater. And when we were watching it, I turned to Matt and I go, is that a painting? Like a painting of a spaceship, of the crater? And you're like, I don't know, maybe. And we were looking at it a couple of times, and they're like, well, if you interact with the spacecraft itself, then no. But, like...
then yes, it's a painting.
No, if they interact with it.
Oh, if they interact with it, then it's not. But if they
don't
interact with it, it's not a painting. If they don't, it is.
Yes. Which they don't.
Physically.
Yes. They do, like, force perspective and, like, walk up to it and all that
Which sells the effect.
Right, it's very, very good.
They did a great job of making it force perspective and kind of grungy, so that it, like, you could buy that it was in frame.
Yeah.
Good job.
And we later found out in the commentary that it is, in fact, a matte painting. And it looks very, very good. Yeah. Yeah, again, like, using a lot of practical and in-camera effects, or post effects that aren't, all computer generated.
Right, yeah. Computer generated effects are not in this movie, save for the computer chess.
And the infection scene.
Yeah, and the computer graphics for how the infection works. Yes. Also, fun fact, that's John Carpenter's then, at the time, wife's voice. Oh. I believe they divorced, but at the time. Not the first line she had, I think. I think she had a couple voice lines in his movies. So, cool. There's just a little factoid for you. we gotta talk about him right now. We'll just do this right off the bat. So Kurt Russell's the leading guy. This was before he was leading man material. This was very much before he was the guy from Escape from New York, Big Trouble in Little China. But this movie kind of pushed him there.
Okay. Yeah.
We can talk about some of the hidden backstory. It's set up as subtext. You don't pick up immediately that he is a combat veteran.
I wouldn't have picked up on that.
No. You're the only reason that you're supposed to pick up on that he might have a troubled past at all is because they do mention in the movie that he doesn't sleep or he can't sleep, or that he does have insomnia. They directly reference that he suffers from an insomnia type of affliction, and he drinks a lot, heavily. There are many bottles of like just bourbon that these men are downing.
Yeah, bourbon whiskey.
It's product placement a little bit, but like maybe I don't know how that works, but everybody's drinking. Lots of heavy drinking is happening. And then he's a helicopter pilot. They sell this by they get in the helicopter and then they take off. But then they do, fun fact, give Kurt Russell the sticks in the air. Which is why he'll tell you in the commentary when he gets the stick and when it wobbles.
So when
the pilot takes it up and then they give Mr. Russell the stick.
Yeah.
To fly the helicopter, and then he kind of in the movie that's the take
shot.
They use.
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
And he'll tell you when that because he knows.
Well, yeah.
I think at the time he said he had an interest in learning how to fly helicopters, and he was like, "Yeah,
okay,
I'll give you the control." And they did it mid take, and it wobbles a little bit too far, and he's like, "Yeah, that's what he did." And you're like, "Oh shit,
that's funny."
Okay. That's all of it, really. They say he has PTSD in the article that I found, and we will leave links to below for you to check out if you want to see some of our references. They're just the references that you can find surface level if you do Google searches about this movie. Mm-hmm. But they add a lot to the conversation. The Blu-ray is more of a direct resource for some of this stuff. Mm-hmm. So just watch movies with commentary. I think you'll find some gold bits in there. Mm-hmm. They kind of leave the thing ambiguous for a bit. Not necessarily ambiguous, but they don't spell it out for you. They don't tell you that it needs to, like, consume the thing to perfectly replicate it.
Yeah.
It's confusing because at some points you think that there are two, like, things.
There could be. Yeah.
Because I was under the impression, because they said that they made the AIDS reference, that, like, you could have two things.
Okay.
But we never really saw that. We saw it assimilate and then imitate once those people were gone. I think.
Are not necessarily two, but they can break off into multiple parts. Right, if the thing dies, it can... If there is a piece of it that is still living, that can break off and become a new organism.
Right, because there was the doctor that they locked up with the doctor with the noose in the room. I'm sorry, that's a dark thing, but he had a noose in the room. But they locked him up, and he's a thing. I believe he does come out and confirm himself by shoving his hand in somebody's face with another awesome practical effect. That reminded us of a David Cronenberg movie, Videodrome.
I'm getting to that.
We'll get there. But great practical effects. So it's ambiguous as far as, like, are there two things operating at the same time, or is it just one thing assimilating and then imitating to then just assimilate again?
Right.
Because it does move around.
You aren't sure if it has to completely
consume
the thing that it's imitating, or if it just infects it and then can take it. Like, it's not quite clear what the thing needs to do in order to continue. Right,
like, because it's building a spaceship later in the movie.
Yes.
Which you do great practical set. Really good. I can see where Rick and Morty maybe borrowed a little bit for Rick's spaceship with the saucer, because it looks like junk.
With Rick's spaceship, yeah.
Yes, but anyway, in the movie, because if there are two things, the spaceship does not look big enough for two things.
Well, it doesn't mean
unless it just reabsorbs itself, but which you don't really see.
I think it would, more so just be like, oh, well, that part of me is going to die out, and I'll just take my new cells and go.
And that's, like, ambiguous. But I think it's also a kind of a technical limitation, right? Because if it was CG, you could just make the thing split in half and then show that easily. Yeah. But I'm glad that they didn't do that because it lets you think about it. We're still talking about it.
This movie is, like we said, there's no computer-generated content. So everything is made with practical effects. And it is so good. It holds up, 40 years later. It is phenomenal. This is 82.
Oh, God. Wow.
40 years later. It still holds up. There are some scenes that look amazing to me every single time I watch them. And we're going to go into some of those.
Okay.
Do you have anything you want to start with? Otherwise, I will.
We can start with the dogs. You kind of have to.
So, that's my favorite scene. Probably in the entire.
It's the most visceral. It's the one that really starts to kind of show you what it does, and then makes you feel how the misery of that.
A little bit of context for the scene. The dog from the beginning, from the first chase scene, has been adopted into this research facility. By one of the guys there, and he's been keeping him with...
The dog keeper, essentially.
Yeah, he's been kind of watching him and letting him roam free, even though they have an entire, cage, kennel full of, 6 to 8 other dogs.
Well, it's not even though, it's he will die if they leave him out. They don't know he's a thing, right? So they're just it's a dog, we're taking him. Go put him in the kennel. Yeah.
So the dog goes in there... Guy leaves, and then the dog immediately starts freaking out. Its face opens up, and it starts attacking the other dogs.
Assimilating.
Yeah, it's assimilating with the other dogs in the kennel.
The dog actor, Jed, which we will talk about Jed. They ended up leading him to do the sitting position, and then they switched to a false dog.
Yes.
In the middle of the thing, and then the other dogs start barking, I think, at it, or they prompt them to do so.
Yeah.
Which was interesting because the fake dog was the one that did the rip away effects, and then, all the stuff came out of it, and gross. A lot of reverse shots were used, which was really cool to see that technique used back then, because that was used in Obsession Now, which was our first video. Go check that out, please. They did some stuff with Nikki to do the rewind, or to make her, do backward stuff, which... unsettle.
Yeah.
Wow. So in here they do it with the tentacles that come out of this monster to assimilate.
Yep. There is a little bit of it. I thought it might have been water or something, where the thing sprays something at another dog.
They said, it's kind of funny a note about
because
that.
the dog kind of jumps like it's running from water. We discovered that it's the same gooey substance they use in Twinkies.
In the director's commentary, they name the substance. I do not have the name for the substance, but yes, I believe it's the binding agent.
Yes.
In Twinkies.
I think so.
That they shot at this dog.
They just referred to it as Twinkie goo, or is that what we called it?
That's what I called it.
Yeah.
I called it Twinkie goo. I don't have it because the printer didn't have red in it for this moment, but I will say then, the animal people were on the set of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Of course, yes.
I believe that was in the credits. I need to say that for my own well-being.
Yeah.
But the dog effects for when they needed to have someone shoot the dog that was being assimilated to mercy kill it, it was a prop one, obviously. Sure. But they did amazing work on those effects. Great work on the dogs.
Sure. And all of the dogs were very seemed very well trained. They look like they're reacting to something truly that terrifying, and they did a very good job.
Yeah.
But I wanted to kind of, after the context of that scene, right, there is a moment they come back into the kennel to see what's going on. All the dogs are barking and causing a ruckus.
Mm-hmm.
And the camera shows, I will try to insert this if I can, the camera shows the thing looking forward with its dog-like face. In this, I believe they're puppets. They're all puppets, not animatronics or anything.
Well, some of them may have been.
But a lot of them are sculptures or puppets.
It's early. Yeah. It's early work. It's not I don't know about radio control. It may 80s probably radio control. They probably had some puppeteering on that level.
The way that the thing's dog head looks, is so fluid in motion that it looks computer generated to me every single time. I adore this so much. It just, every time I see it, it looks just as good as the first time I saw it. Mm-hmm. And they do this a couple of different times, but that first look at the thing specifically, I really love. When I first saw this movie, I was blown away because I'd seen a couple other, you know, like horror movies from this time period, mm-hmm. and nothing ever really scared me, right? Like, there were other movies from this time period that I'd seen that I just really wasn't impressed by the visual effects. This was the first one that I really was, like, a little grossed out and kind of, like, not scared of, but it stuck with me a little bit more than some of the others. So this, with the scale of the movie, as I mentioned before, I like that this alien isn't just one thing. Right, it's not just the dog form or just like the bug form that we see at the beginning, when it first starts to change shape. It's constantly evolving. Yep. And getting bigger. Yeah. And like adapting.
Arms come out of it. Bug legs come out of it.
And even
heads come out of it.
Yeah. And even this one scene where it could just stop at like the dogs, it keeps growing and keeps evolving throughout that scene until they finally, you know, try to shoot at it or hit it with fire. Right. But it's just so interesting that it, like, they not only took the time to create a large scale for the movie itself and the story itself, but they didn't want to just stick with your average man in a costume. They wanted to make it scary. They wanted to make it, you know, stick with you. And
even though they did do that at one point.
Sure.
And then set him on fire.
For which part?
Remember when they had everybody tied to a chair? And the guy turned into a thing?
Oh, yeah.
It's like we didn't even watch the same movie 3 times in a row.
I forgot about that part.
He opens up his mouth.
Yeah.
His whole fucking top half.
There are a couple of times where it's just like, it's a sculpture, but it's a guy in a suit.
It's like we didn't even watch the same movie 3 times.
But I like that they aren't just sticking with the easy stuff. Right? They're willing to move into such big and bold iterations of what this character could be.
They have the budget too. The budget went into people. The budget went into practical effects. The budget went into masks and gore and gook and great stuff for not a lot of money.
Special effects guy for this movie was Rob Bottin. Mm-hmm. He worked on the thing when he was 23 years old. He was
21.
21?
Okay, so you found 23. I found 21 to 22.
Okay.
So sources are not clear on how old this man was, but it was his 20s, early 20s.
And working like 7 days a week, like for the full year, like, man would not leave the studio.
Right.
But what I noticed when I was watching this is that, again, we had just watched Videodrome a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And when I was watching that, I realized the only thing that I had seen comparable in practical special effects was The Thing, which came out, I think they came out the same year, or, you know, relatively close together.
I think Videodrome is 1980.
82 or 3.
2 or 3.
Yeah. And this one was 82.
Yep, they're very close because it wasn't the special effects guy.
I have it right.
You said Bottin?
No.
Who was the other guy?
So the Rob Bottin was the assistant to Rick Baker.
Oh, that's
who
right.
Who worked on Videodrome.
And
Rick Baker had worked for ILM, which is the company created to do Star Wars. And he had worked on An American Werewolf in London. Mm-hmm. And that's how he kind of got his start in ILM. And then he moved to Videodrome. And then Rob Bottin they parted ways after ILM and moved on to these amazing projects. And you can tell that they work together because their work is very, very similar. Mm-hmm. And they both do amazing jobs.
Someone comparable to these two gentlemen as well as also ILM fame. Maybe they also work together on some of the same stuff. Phil Tippett. Mm-hmm. Phil Tippett's a big name in the special effects industry. He has his own studio. He does he did a great stop motion film. I've not seen it, but I should. It's dark, but it's good.
Okay.
But you'd be remiss not to mention him because his effects too. They all kind of,
Star Wars.
Yes. Yeah. That's where he got his big break. But the texture of the effects, like the visual texture of the effects. You can tell like the same artisans worked on all of these pictures. You know, everyone talks about the fucking stomach opening with the teeth. The only thing that you should note for that is they made a mask. So what they did was they put a mask on another actor whose arms were actually amputated, so that when he comes off and his stumps are flailing, that's an actor in a mask with arms actually amputated. They dressed up with blood and gore, so that it's real.
That's crazy.
Yep.
I did not know that at all.
And then when he pulled his arms off, that's why he could pull his arms off like that.
Ooh.
So he could pull his arms off like that, and it ripped, and the gore came out, and all that shit came out of it. So, yeah. And he was amputated, so you could just like wave around and whip the gore at people and be like, oh! And the mask was made in the image of the other actor.
Interesting.
That's all. So, Jed the dog, this was his first movie role. Later, he went on to do films such as The Journey of Natty Gann. I'm probably never going to watch that movie. I'm sorry. It just doesn't sound interesting at all. Then he did the White Fang movies.
Yeah.
He's got some great acting. They nailed that hallway shot in 4 takes.
Yeah,
only took him 4 tries.
4 or 5.
He's just he's a very good dog actor. I know of like one other one who shall not be mentioned because it is not relevant to this podcast. But, yeah, good, go dogs.
Yeah, I really love Jed.
Not harmed physically.
No,
None of the animals were harmed. Hopefully, probably not.
Yeah. I think all the dogs did great. I was really impressed with them. I think Jed the dog is so talented. He just had such a great camera quality about him. And they said that the hallway scene you were talking about, he made like choices. It's like he's an actor. It's so funny to me that he like made the choice to like look down the hall, kind of stop, kind of move a little bit further down. He didn't look in the camera, walked up to the door, stopped again, and then kind of like panted a second and then closed his mouth and walked back in. It felt so intentional. He has a scene where he looks up from underneath the pool table. They're all kind of talking about stuff. And this is, of course, like a camera cut, so it's obviously planned a certain way.
Slowed it down, too.
Sure.
They did that in Halloween, where when they had to strangle the dog, they slowed down the footage of his legs drooping. They're just holding him. They're just bear hugging him.
Yeah.
But his legs would droop because the dog's legs droop.
Yeah. The way they edited it, too, to like when the dog looks up and then the tense music starts playing to make you see that, oh, he might not be what he seems. He's a very good dog. I also personally enjoyed when the dog first runs up to the crew, he jumps up on one actor as if like to like it could be seen as threatening, I guess, in the scope of the movie. But you can see that it's clearly the dog handler, and that he was trained to just run up to that guy, put his paws on him, and he like doesn't start like giving him kisses, but he's like pretty much like, oh hey, you're my person I'm supposed to go to. I think that was really funny, and that they kept it in.
Yeah,
it was good. That's all I had to say about Jed. He's a great dog. I liked him a lot.
Well, I don't have any criticisms about this movie.
I don't either. I was going to voice some of the ones that I read.
It flopped. That's it. When it came out. It flopped, went from cult classic, then fame, then became just a good old-fashioned classic. I would say probably because of the special effects, the editing, the subject matter was pretty apocalyptic, and given the situation of where we are now and where we were then, it's applicable. A lot of crises were happening in the world at that time, which I don't know if you mentioned or need to mention about AIDS.
I did not.
It was a big inspiration for this concept, The Thing, and the movie. He says in the commentary directly that many of the scenes were inspired by that, including the famous blood test scene. There are factoids I know about that. For example, Kurt Russell's hand in that scene when it came out of the blood, they had a fake hand. So that's in the article that could be linked below. You can read all about that. It's just basic fun special effects stuff. We don't want to tell you everything. We want you to go watch it.
Yeah. Some of the issues, like the bad reviews that came out when this movie came out, were that it was too slow and it was hard to care about the characters. I personally felt like all the scenes were really intentional. Like when you're watching an indie, like especially like an indie movie in general, but especially like an indie horror movie. And then not saying that this was, but John Carpenter had experience with independent movies. You need to make sure all of your scenes are very intentional with what you're doing so that you can keep an audience hooked. And I felt that way with all of their scenes. All of their dialogue felt realistic, which isn't everyone's cup of tea. I know that realistic dialogue isn't great for everyone, but I personally really liked it. And yeah, it felt very intentional.
I liked how, a lot of the characters felt real just because of the isolation. For example, they weren't ashamed to show you a lot of these men's vices. Kurt Russell's an alcoholic. You don't really find out he's an alcoholic, but he drinks a lot. This is the movie that probably did inspire the video game that took over everybody's attention during quarantine, Among Us. Same concept. Except you didn't get assimilated. You kind of did. You then followed all of the other characters and then could listen to what happened. But that's the same premise.
Right, and it's the idea of
getting him alone, getting him...
Paranoia growing amongst your comrades. And I mentioned that as well. Like, it's easy, I think, in a movie like this to get caught up on scenes with people acting weird or maybe alluding to more of, like, oh, maybe the alien's this guy, maybe the alien's this guy. But they didn't do that. Everything was very, like, you didn't see it unless you had to. And nobody knows for sure where it is at any point. And I kind of like that they just kept it succinct and made it more of a mystery than anything.
You could say that the first Alien movie did that a little bit more effectively than Man in Suit. They did have Man in Suit for a couple of scenes, right? But yeah, it's that same concept of like it bursts out of the guy's chest and then runs off. And you're like, oh no. Yeah. Where is it?
A lot of people like hail Alien and love that movie. This one's kind of like that for me.
Yeah, Alien is a slow burn movie too. And this one is that concept with just another type of invader that got to Earth. And that's why it's a little bit more apocalyptic. Alien asserts that it's
out
bad.
There.
It's bad, but it's not apocalyptic because if they get to Earth, then it's over. Yeah. So.
Oh, the other movie's critique, which is that you didn't care that much about these characters. I don't know that I've ever gone into a horror movie really ever caring about any of the characters because I know that they're probably going to die. You know, like you don't really go in like more often than not horror movies are not scripted so that you fully care about any of the characters. You don't want to get latched onto them too hard. It can be sad sometimes when some of them go if you really like that comedic relief guy.
That's the thing. But, horror and comedy go hand in hand, and I think later movies do this where they'll probably try to insert some darker comedy. Which is there? Were there bits of dark comedy in this movie? Would you say?
A couple. There were a couple. Vaguely. There were a couple laughs, but not much.
Yeah. But it's mainly just everybody playing it super straight, super serious, super. We got to get this alien thing.
Right, as you would in this situation.
Yeah. They were really trying to be serious about it and take it seriously. So.
Right, and I think the seriousness of the characters and the actors, along with the mystery, help you to stay involved as an audience member. Because if they're taking it seriously, I want to take it seriously. Right. If it was just like a goof fest, then like, sure, it's a fun movie. But it wouldn't have become classic the way it has today. Yeah.
It's one of John Carpenter's personal favorite in his filmography.
That's awesome.
He said that himself. Oh, and then there's a fun fact. This movie was all the set was a lot of dudes. At some point, it was all dudes. They talk about this in the commentary. There was one woman working on this movie, and she was pregnant and had to leave to have the kid and go on leave, I believe. And so then it was just all dudes. And at that point, they say that significantly reduced the amount of posturing, whatever that means.
Right.
I don't...
It makes me think of, like, peacocking.
That's exactly what I thought of. Or just being, like, a... Why are we having dick measuring contests on a movie set? Like, it's a movie set?
Right. Go to work.
Plus, she's having a baby?
Right.
Or, like...
I was thinking that,
What do you mean by posturing? What does that even mean? It's not a bad I don't think it's a bad thing. I just thought it was funny to mention.
It's just one of those like little insights into the way people were thinking,
but
are thinking.
It then he said went on to influence how they like immersed themselves in making this, because it kind of made it that much more immersive. So there you go.
I'm gonna, I guess, touch on two more things. One is like a John Carpenter bit specifically. He talks about in the commentary that he had a couple different ways to end the movie. And they tried out a couple, but he wanted it to be really not an open ending. Actually, it's not an open ending. We know what's gonna happen. We know how it ends. There was ideas that
kind of.
Yeah, well, you
don't really know how it's gonna end. You have a very nihilistic idea of where it's gonna go.
A strong inclination.
Because that's the vibe.
Right. There was not to like give away the ending, but there was a version of the ending that would involve more of a rescue team. And John Carpenter said he didn't want to do that because, and I quote, he said, "I had to finish off their story. I wanted to tell that's their story and that's it." So he wanted it to keep it confined to the base that they were at, and then just leave it all in that moment. The same way the Norwegian story had happened. Also, one more thing I forgot to mention before. With sets, they used the demolished American base set from the end of the movie to be the Norwegian set, like
earlier
from the beginning of the film, so they didn't have to rebuild anything. Super smart, but that also adds on to the foreshadowing aspect I was talking about earlier, which is
they use a similar angle.
Right.
I feel like they use a similar angle to the camp that the helicopter lands in, because it's like the same spot. I could be wrong, but I picked up on that. I don't know if you did. For sure.
When I was watching it with you the first time, I was like, wow, that's kind of eerie, because they're walking into basically foreshadowing of what's going to happen to them, and they're going to be able to see all these things that have already taken place. And then we watch the commentary afterwards, and they're like, oh no, we used the same set for that. I was like, that's even better. I love that. One, recycling, but also, I think it adds to that, like a little bit of spice to that specific scene.
Yes. Mr. Carpenter likes to score his own movies.
Oh, yeah.
He did not do this one.
Really?
I don't remember the name of it. I could drop it in here.
Oh, no, but he had a good relationship with this guy.
He did, yeah. It's a work, I think he was either a working professional or somebody who is good at their job. And it works.
I like this score a lot, too.
It's a very Carpenter-esque score if he did it himself, but it also it's probably just that much better because it's another artist coming in to do another piece of another already wonderful mosaic of things. Darkly wonderful mosaic of things. It functioned as a motif. I believe I'm hearing it in my head still as we're talking about it. And it works as a motif for the thing. So, yeah. Yeah. Great stuff.
We were talking about complaints earlier. My only complaint about this movie, out of everything we've talked about, would be just that I don't think the scenes have clear buttons. They used a lot of like fade outs, white fades and black fade outs. They'll just stop talking and they'll sit there for 3 seconds and then just fade into the next scene. And it can be done well if the scene feels like it ended. Some of their scenes feel like they just kind of...
Yeah.
And that's all we had.
But I do want to say this then, because it's like when they fade to black and they leave it on that cliffhanger moment, it's like, well, then days go by.
That's fair.
Right.
I didn't think about it that way.
When you fade to black or white, more time passes than the main character is like conscious for, or like we're there for. For example, when you fade to white in the Lord of the Rings, it's because Frodo is like waking up in the elf land where they got him to save his life.
Gotcha.
In here, it's like, they fade to black, so then it leaves you unsettled. It's like, if it's an unfinished scene and you're like noticing it's not like a button or like a satisfying end, it could be, they're leaving it ended, and then they do the fade to black to be like, and then time passes. Because then sometimes, like you say, they introduce another scene with another like interesting camera movement. So it's like,
when they do utilize the fade to white to replicate the whiteouts with the snow.
Yeah, they do. They use both effectively. I will say that if you do not prefer them, I agree to disagree. Mm. But they're effectively well used. I mean, Star Wars does like wipes. Mm-hmm. Certain movies don't do the wipes or fade, but the fades were good for this one too, because it just left you with that like, it's getting darker. You too, like each time it was like it's getting a little more.
That's fair. I can see that. Yeah.
Go buy it, please. Don't smile at me. Look at them. Fucking reprimand them. Tell them to go buy their movies.
Buy digital media.
Buy your movies.
Excuse me. Go buy physical media.
Get access to them from other methods if you need to. I won't tell anyone.
Get off your streaming services.
Get access to your movies. Bring back physical media. Do your best. Do your part. If not, you're part of the problem.
Also, then you just have to pay for it once. And then, you pay for other movies, but you have all your favorites right there.
And then if you have a computer, you can get a convenient Blu-ray drive, and you can take the contents of that disc that you just purchased and get your digital copy right away from that disc.
And then you can take it with you wherever you go.
And not have to worry about that stupid Movies Anywhere service blacking out and getting rid of your copy of The Dark Knight Rises that you won't see anymore.
That feels personal.
It is a personal attack.
Okay.
Anyways, I hope you have a good day. Go out and touch grass.
Yeah.
Make movies.
Touch grass.
Make
drink
movies
water.
with cameras again.
That.
Get off your phone. Drink some water.
I can't do this.
Yeah, it's all of the things.
All of the things.
She doesn't have enough hand.
I just can't open my hand like that.
Yeah. Bye.